Alright, in this video we're going to take a look at all the different layers that make up the true folding knife. So here's a quick look at the base color, the height, the roughness, metallic, height normal, and what it looks like is a material. So we're just going to go through it step by step and you can see what all the different layers do. I'm not super efficient with my layers, I just kind of break things down and build it up step by step. So let's start at the base. I usually start with a fill color and start blocking out the different colors. The next thing I did was I added some normal information on the blade and around different parts. So again, I'm using normal information to define different plane changes and different surface attributes. It's something I talked about in one of the other videos, right? So I'm adding like a milling effect using stripes. I'm using anisotropic noise. I'm using Brownian noise to give different effects to different parts. So you can see there's a different milling effect intensity on the blade, on the cutting edge versus the spine. And then so I go and I do this on each part. That's one of the first things I tend to do is just using noise to define areas. I did this also on the handle, on like the interior parts or the beveled edge. Try to see if I can zoom in here so you guys can see that. When I was making it, I think I accidentally deleted the blockout color for the handle. Here, I've gone in and put some of the interesting detail that's on that folding part just by adding height information. And then here is on the handle. So the handle is basic noise, and then I start putting in the landmarks pretty quickly. Bulges is like where metal's like been dented or scraped really hard and pushed it. So it'll start to get like this effect. It's literally the same way that you do pilt paint. If you know how to do that, it's just the same workflow, but a little bit more subtle. Okay. So here's a quick look at that. Here's the milling inside. Again, this wasn't in the original actual knife, but it's a detail that I added just to help differentiate those plane changes in those faces and help light catch. And it looks pretty cool. These are the interior part where the folding is. It almost looks like it has projection errors, but this is from the inside and the way it's finished. All right, let's take a look at this. So you can see, again, there's like a Brownian type noise on the surface, a little bit of specks. In the metal, you see I have something called metal sparkles. So here I'm just adding a little something to the metal and a little bit in the roughness. So that way it's getting this kind of sheen effect that sparkles across the surface that was noticeable. But I don't think I actually put any of that really, if at all, in the color. So that's just me toggling so you can see. You can also see just how dramatic the roughness is on the bevel part of the handle. Obviously it's not like that in real life, but it just makes things pop and it differentiates the shapes. Once I added this grime layer, it really came to life. I don't know about you guys, which have made a texture. Sometimes it's hard to go in there and just put like a really bold stamp with confidence into the texture, into the surface. But once I put that on, it's like, oh my gosh, now it's really starting to see some variety. And then here, these are like subtle details, slight variation in color, some different colorization, some blues and some reds. And then here's like some random other color stuff that's on the surface and here I'll just toggle back and forth so you can see it. It's a very, very subtle effect, but something that's just really kind of interesting, but not overbearing as you look at it. So yeah, it's usually like kind of all those fine things. So when I'm building up the surface, I pretty much go in all the same order. With the light dust and then some fingerprints and some hairs on top. With the dirt, the dust, the fingerprints, and the hairs, I do these per asset so that way I can dial them in for readability. It is super, super important that you always use the same scale so you don't have like big fingerprints on one portion and something wrong or different on another. They'd be universal, right? The same thing with the dust and hairs and stuff like that. So here's just a quick flip through of the different maps and how you can see the light interacting. Let's move on to the next. I just wanted to show this. This is a little trick. I just used the UV border to kind of like an old school technique, like almost imply the edge like literally at like 2 or 3% in the color, and very subtle in the roughness. It's something that's barely noticeable, but just gives you that initial kind of pop. All of this at the base is literally very subtle surface buildup. Some little scratches, a little edge wear, and most of this stuff is done fairly procedurally. Like, I'm not too concerned with where everything is at. It's not something that needs to be super, super exact. Okay. So here is on the pivot, which was actually the first thing that I textured when I was doing this. And if you're looking at like workflow, I used the pivot as a point to test my workflow. It was a confined, simple spot had every attribute that exists on everything else. So I was working the normals, working the noise definition, how intense I needed the scratches, dirt buildup, all that stuff. So this was the first piece I actually did. And once I was happy with the workflow after like 3 or 4 times, I just replicated that process across all the other assets. So even though I'm showing this in a different order on where it existed in the stack, the pivot was the first one. So one of the things here with the pivot was just getting the micro scratches and some of that noise and height map around where you would stick a screwdriver. And when you torque it really hard, you can see that some of the metal from the star bit actually gets lifted up and distorted. Ends up looking really, really cool. So here's what it looks like with the material. And a lot of the work's done here with a hybrid material where it's like metal but not metal, and a lot of work is done in the roughness. So when light hits this, it ends up looking really, really cool. Let's go on to the blade. So again, on the blade, very similar. This is just all kind of general stuff, some decolorization, some general scratches. I wanted to show the gradient again. I think it's something I went over earlier. Again, this is a technique that I developed. You'll see people add like solid colors to different planes very subtly to help define plane changes in light. I had the idea of adding like misdirection gradients that just really actually, when you have interesting lighting, just helps these different faces really, really pop, but doesn't look unnatural when light's straight on. So here I've just added some yellowing, another round. Like a lot of times when like I go in and I do some decolorization or oils, I put it the first like time doing it, it's kind of subtle or too subtle. And then you'll typically see like take 2 or like second round. It's like literally the same thing, but this time I'm cranking it up 50%, right? And then going in a little bit more confidently. That's what I tend to do. Is I was like, all right, I just got to go for it. And then I'll usually leave the other one, or sometimes I'll go back later and delete it. So again, my layer stacks tend to be a little bit more complex. And the reason why is instead of just like working 1 or 2 in the stack, I'll just add so I can just see if I like how it's working. This is the main star of the show. It's obviously the main damage. I show how to make that in a different video. And this is broken up into at least 3 parts. So I have the main damage, and I add scratches brightness and scratch brightness 1. So this is just dictating that some of these scratches are going to be a little bit brighter. Okay. This is on the back side of the knife. So I'll just go over here to the exploded version so you can see it. So this is the detail where the ball joint is. And this is just adding some additional bright spots in some of the scratches. I then layer stack those into a chain called master edge detail. And this is just something I can reference later on or individually. The deep scratches are going in there and just adding height information to where those scratches are like gouges are, but in very specific locations that might not match the current height map. This is sharpening the edge. So this is like the sharp edge at the bottom. So I'm going to lighten that up. And then this part here, I spent like a lot of time like going through iterations with trying to get the color and the level of detail. It's a part of the knife that I noticed that a lot of artists just disregarded or didn't quite nail. And the reason why is it like literally takes a ton of time. I created a custom stencil and you can see like these edges that create this filing effect. It was probably one of the more time consuming parts, but it's a very fine detail that when you see it, it's like, oh my gosh, that looks really, really cool. But it took multiple times to finally get it to come out the way that I want. So you can see this is very light in the metal, a little bit brighter, and also in the roughness, right? And that's why you want to leave, again, room in your metal and your roughness. So here's some grime that goes in specifically in those crevices on the cutting edge. And then I'm layering everything in with grime and dust again. So again, you can see how it's where things bend or where things connect and things collect. The old dust is, again, the same thing as sand before, but on the material, you can see there's another stack. So I add a sharpener or sharpen filter, and that just makes some of those pixels pop a little bit. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is the kind of thumb knob on the blade. And so this is, honestly, this one's really, really simple. I was happy with how it came out, and honestly, once I did this, it kind of informed some of my decisions later on, where I just wanted to keep things a little bit more simple instead of overdoing it. So there's that. The next thing we're going to go to is the clip. The clip, we started by just establishing the directional noise. We put in the logo, and then everything from here is just very, very subtle of this rubbing or burnishing effect that's taking place with it making contact with maybe your belt or your skin or your pants. So all this is just adding additional stuff. I just want to show off the mask for the edge wear and the surface wear, because that's where most of the stuff is. And again, you can see it's not completely metal non-metal. Again, to have this pop from the handle and differentiate itself, you can see I added a little bit of metallic to the base of it. And then here is the micro edge detail, which again just adds a little bit. And then we finish it off the same way that we've done the other stuff. Is I'm going to add a little bit of irregular color to the surface, some bulges here and there, not overdoing it on this effect, but we're going to show those. And then we're going to add some surface noise variation, a little bit more color as well. So again, all of these details are very, very subtle, and you can see them as you start panning the light through it. So here's a little bit of that red color, kind of in the top area. Some dirt grime, some just subtle dirt, a few hairs, don't want to overdo it. And then a couple cool little fingerprints, because this is something that probably would have contact with your finger or your thumb. And you can kind of see that right there, and there's a little bit of the height information, very subtle, but you can see the fingerprints. And here I think I'll pan the light just a little bit, and you can kind of see when the light catches it, that detail pops and then it disappears, which is a really, really cool effect. So really cool effect. Let's move on to the belt loop. Now this is again something that's fairly dark to contrast the handle. So I'm going to have to move this a little bit so you can start seeing what's going on with this. This is initial just height information. You can see the pitting that I've added. I think that's just added with a dirt generator, and then kind of scaling it and limiting it to where it is. It's something that is just a really interesting surface detail that's unique to this piece that's not really evident in the others. Here, you go ahead and I just added the logo with a custom stencil, and then start pushing in the highlights. This is again a different type of scraping or wear that's happening. That's happening along the edge. I wanted to make it a little bit more dynamic than what it was on the actual object, so it would contrast and also fit the amount of wear that I added to the handle of the blade of the knife. So this is already looking fairly cool. Let's brighten just a few of these edges, finish it off with a little bit of oil to have some dynamic nature in the roughness, some dust to help it sit in, and you can see a few hairs that are finished on top. So this being a smaller piece, I don't even think I bothered adding any fingerprints, and you can see the range of the roughness. Again, using height and noises patterns to define your shapes and your assets in planes. And then really I'm doing a lot of work in the albedo and the roughness. The roughness needs to have range to show off interesting attributes. So again, Most of those things are within that 20 to 40% of the 50-yard line, and I'm leaving some extremities where I want things really to pop. The hardware was all handled in one stack, so we have all the screws. These are, again, I don't want them to be overpowered. I want them to be a complementary piece. So most of this was done through auto generation, and really the only thing that was given real particular detail was around the screw hole, like where those those wear marks are, and the bulges from torquing a screwdriver. I actually limit it quite a bit where the dirt is, because I want the metal to read as metal. I don't want it to not look good from a distance. And just a little bit of hair. Again, the most important part here is just getting the edge metal where it's scraped off right, and a little bit of bulging effect. So let's just toggle through the maps, the base color, the height information. You can see what I was talking about. That roughness variation, not too much here, but a little bit of metallic range, and there's the final material. So pretty easy. And at the end, what I do is I have everything in a final adjustment layer as sharpened, and the only maps that I'm sharpening is color, roughness, and metal, and I'm sharpening it by 0.125. So I'll just toggle between these so you can kind of see what happens when I do that. You don't want to do this too much. If you go overboard on the sharpen, it's just going to turn everything into purling noise and just become really ugly. And so all that kind of range of like smooth, harsh fall off, it's just all going to be for nothing and lost. Do not over sharpen your textures. Do not overdo it also in rendering. So I just wanted to toggle through and just do a quick spin around so you guys can see. Here's where all the height information is. Here's the roughness, again, really kind of in there, but you see some nice dynamic ranges where I have those different areas showing up. You can kind of see how I'm using that to define material properties and different parts of the asset, like where I want to draw interest, and it's all still staying within PBR range. Here's the metalness, or the metal. You can see here I'm taking full advantage of the metal map. I'm not looking at metal as either metal or non-metal, but only the non-metals really get black, but the things that are metal, again, usually for most of it, it's under 0.87, and then except for that filed edge is maybe a little heavier. So here's a full toggle through of some of these areas, so you can see what that looks like interacting with light, and how that fingerprint on that handle reveals itself and then it disappears depending on the angle. Again, really cool detail. Some interesting details around these pivots. It's grounded with the dirt and the dust, but has a little bit of rust in some areas, but not too much. All right, that's everything, guys. I hope you found this useful and seeing how I build up my textures layer by layer. I'll catch you in the next one.